non-printable letters from people that I thought were my friends. And I guess that's one good way to learn who your friends are, isn't it? If your friendship is conditional, then what kind of friendship is that? Wouldn't you rather know that? Right? So imagine you atheists telling your atheist club members that you've now become a Hare Krishna. You know, well, they probably, some of them would probably still like you, but then that condition might wear off, right? So, at the bottom of my letter to, I was working with Gospel Light Publications, a Christian, it's like a Christian curriculum company. And they produce Christian songs and that, and they have a thing called Mini Musicale. And for a number of years, I had written the Mini Musicale. It's just 3 songs, 3 or 4 songs, for their VBS. Do you know what VBS is? Vacation Bible School. It's like a week of the summer where the church holds this week of, it's like camp at home, kind of. And so I was right in the middle of writing. I wrote 2 songs, but I had 2 more songs to go. And I wrote a letter to Wes Astead, and I said, listen, I'll understand if you want to find someone else to finish this project, right? Because now you don't want an atheist writing for a Christian company. And he called me up, and he said, we have no choice. We're on schedule. We got to stay on budget. We got to get this thing done. So do you mind finishing the musical? And to his credit, and I'm not going to accuse him of knowingly hiring an atheist to write Christian songs, he thought that I was just going through a phase, that I'd come back to Jesus, right? So I did. I felt like it would be dishonoring the contract. I felt like, I would be putting them in a bad place to bail out of this thing right now. So I suggested, could I use a pseudonym to save us both the embarrassment? Could I use another name? And he said, okay, do it that way. So if you ever see the Sunrise Island Mini Musicale, published by Gospel Light Publications, written by Edwin Daniels, you'll know that 2 of the songs were written, well, probably all the songs were written by an atheist, because I was writing them before that time. And yet nobody noticed. They were performed, they were sung, the churches liked them, and I still get letters from like Christian schools where the children put on these musicals, and I don't know if I should answer them or not. Would that be right to send them back an answer? But anyway. My mom and dad eventually both became atheists. My brother Daryl, also, he became a human. Of course, Daryl was always a lousy Christian. Daryl confessed that his philosophy in life was, how much sin can I commit and still get into heaven? That was kind of his approach. And I always, the big brother minister, I always thought he was way over that line too much. But now Daryl is very active in the Freedom from Religion Foundation. He manages our FFRF forum, and he took some lawsuit for state church and all that. We have a brother Tom, who's still born again. There's the 3 boys, and his whole family became atheists under his nose, and he's wondering what the heck happened to my family. My mom was a Sunday school teacher, and she told a reporter once, you know what? It's great being an atheist. I don't have to hate anymore. I can just accept people for who they are, gay or whatever. I don't have to put people into. We call Tom, brother Tom, the white sheep of the family. There's a lot more to say about him. We like each other. We're not that close, but when we get together, we just don't talk about this thing. Because why talk about things that divide you? Families have more important things to talk about. And when Mom died a few years ago, we were all there sharing the same loss, the same family, the same joy, the same love, the same loss. It was all part of our family. And I'm lucky, I guess. Our family is very, very, very close and very loving. So I'm going to end it there and remind you there are some books in the back that tell the rest of the story. And I also want to remind you college students that Freedom from Religion Foundation has an annual essay contest with cash prize, $2,000 first prize, and $1,000 second, and then we have third and fourth and honorable mentions. Honorable mentions are $250. So times are tight, and if you're a good writer at all, enter it. We have one for high schoolers going into college, current college students, and then for grad students or 25 and older. So if you have any good thoughts on the topics which we will announce in January, I encourage you to enter it. If you want to do a time of questions, or are we out of time? What should we do, Jerry?
We got one at a time.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, we can do questions for a while. I got one email question from Facebook. But, yeah, if you want to take questions.
Is there any water back there by any chance? Anybody can find them? And then maybe.
We might have the microphone pass around.
And if you want to ask about, thank you. Oh,
So when you talked about your bus experience, it sounded very much like what I would call cold reading. Did you ever see that parallel?
yeah, cold reading.
Yeah. The psychic suit, you know, beside somebody.
Yeah, it sounds like cold reading. Yeah, now that you say that and now that I think about it, that's probably right. But that's not what I was doing. I wasn't phoning. I actually thought the Spirit was guiding me. The things that I said, I thought were being guided by the Holy Spirit, you know. But you're right. I mean, you can almost say anything to anybody on those lines, and they're going to respond in some, you know.
Right.
But I was sincere. I used to think most ministers and missionaries are really sincere, like I was, because I was sincere. But now I'm less certain about that. Over the years, I'm a little more cynical about the motives of many ministers, especially televangelists.
So have you ever considered having the helmet put on when you have one of these in-tongue feelings and whatever? Just read the brain and say, oh my gosh, look at that activity, what's going on here?
That would be fun. I don't need it, but I mean, yeah, that would be fun. I suppose I would be game to see what part of the brain would light up with that kind of stuff. It's pretty amazing, though. Some of you know what I'm talking about? You had religious experiences? A few of you? Yeah, okay, so you know what it is a real thing. And some of you don't know what I'm talking about, right? You just, you know. I guess we all just fall kind of by the luck of the draw. Genetic variation is important in a species, and maybe that's one of those things that has to vary.
I just have a question about, I guess my question is, so what do you believe is your purpose of life? Or, like, in reference to, like, not having souls and that type of thing, like, what's your view on that?
Yeah. My next book is coming out in a couple of months, and it's a direct response to Rick Warren's book, The Purpose-Driven Life. Have you heard about that book? And I was going to call it Life-Driven Purpose. But the publishers were nervous that it would be too confusing. So it's called, the new book is called The Good Atheist, Living a Purpose-Filled Life Without God. And to make it very short for tonight, there's more to say about it, but there is no purpose of life, and we should not want there to be. If there's a purpose of life, that cheapens us. That makes us like tools or slaves or secondary to something else, right? As if we have to fit into what army are we a part of, or what orchestra am I playing in, or what, you know what I mean? If there's a purpose of life, then we don't really own our lives. We are slaves. In fact, the Bible very proudly says Christians are slaves. Paul said, I'm a slave of Christ. Doulos is the word slave. Bring into captivity every thought into the obedience. But to say there's no purpose of life does not mean there's no purpose in life. There's plenty of purpose in life. And atheists and agnostics, in fact, do lead very purpose-filled lives, not because it's being dictated from outside, like a director of a movie telling you your role, but that you are finding a problem to solve. As long as there's problems to solve in the world, there's purpose in life. Think about Elizabeth Cady Stanton, the problems in the women's movement. She was an atheist. She worked for 50 years. Who would dare say she had no purpose in her life? But the purpose was to solve a problem. It could be hunger, it could be inequality, it could be war, it could be the environment, it could be anything that is getting in the way of us living freely and fully the way we choose to live. So I have two entire chapters in the new book. One of them is called Profiles in Non-Belief, with 306 brief stories of atheists and agnostics in history, including governors and senators and scientists and musicians who lived without a belief in God and yet lived immensely purpose-filled lives. So if you want purpose in your life, find a problem and tackle it, and work on that problem. And you can feel like, wow, I'm making some kind of a difference. In fact, chapter 3 has 30 different composers and songwriters. You might be surprised how many of the songs that you love were actually written by non-believers. Thank you.